Megumi Fushiguro is a tragic character. He unfortunately is just done with life at this point, and it seems his own despair could lead to the deaths of many more in the series. However, today I wanted to understand Megumi's downfall and the intense disdain a lot of the community has for Megumi and his character, to see why Megumi Fushiguro is a wasted treasure, but also his potential to come back into Jujutsu Kaisen. So my brothers and sisters, let's dive right into it. Recently, Megumi has been shown sunken in the depths of darkness deep within Sukuna's soul. Yuji, Yuta, and everyone planned to wake Megumi's soul up. However, when their plan succeeded, Megumi let Yuji know that it was enough. He doesn't want to be saved anymore. His will to live had already gave up. And while this is the lowest state that we've ever seen in Megumi's character, it's now clearer just what his purpose could be in the series, now that he's going through this life-changing struggle. If you think about it, the Jujutsu sorcerers are risking a lot for Megumi's sake, albeit to defeat Sukuna, to go along with the student's wishes, or simply to help him out. Some even die for his sake, to give their heart, mind, and soul into what they can do, yet Megumi himself does not even want to be saved. It's sad how he is now put into this position of hopelessness and someone has to pull him out, or else it just might be too late for him. And it's easy to understand why Megumi is like this, because since the beginning of the story, his main concern was for his sister Sumiki. Since he was young, Toji married into the Fushiguro family, and Megumi was stuck with his stepsister Sumiki for many years, and he came to cherish and love her. He considered Sumiki the kindest person that he knows, and remarks her as a good person. So when she was cursed by Kenjaku, Megumi developed this idea of saving people whether it's fair or not, and his main drive was to save his sister from her curse. Megumi was also raised up by his sensei Gojo, who really took time to care for Megumi, almost like a surrogate father when he was young. Megumi cherished Gojo and respected him, not only as the strongest sorcerer alive, but as his mentor, his caregiver, and his teacher. So it's all the more heart-wrenching what became of both Gojo and Sumiki. And Megumi knows what it means to be a sorcerer. He told Yuji himself that they are not heroes fighting for justice, they just have to save people. Yuji was traumatized from the events of Shibuya, but Megumi says to start by saving me, Itadori. However, what Yuji said was true. As long as Yuji is around, Megumi will suffer. And what comes between them is the demon Sukuna, who destroyed Megumi's life. Sukuna took his body, broke his soul, shattered his resolve, and completely abused Megumi. He killed his sister Sumiki, and at that point Megumi had already lost it all. Then Sukuna went and killed his sensei Gojo as well, with his own body. So it's no wonder why Megumi gave up, because now he has nothing to live for. This is why he has to find a reason to keep going now. As a sorcerer, that is the punishment that they must endure. The key is that they never give up, yet his soul is already done. I see many fans like to look down on Megumi and make fun of his potential, his moments, and his future in Jujutsu Kaisen, and a lot of it is just nonsense. However, it's true that Megumi's character itself is just tragic. It's sad. He suffers from his own weakness. His character itself is not that powerful in a broad scope of the series, which in the story is very important. Megumi himself wants to get stronger. In fact, Gojo said not to fall behind. After all, weak Jujutsu sorcerers have no sense of self, and they can't realize their ideals. In many of his fights, he shows remarkable improvement in his willpower and resolve to grow stronger. However, it only goes so far. Megumi used to have a mental block of not knowing how to give his best, and he'd always hold himself back, underestimating himself and his allies. So Megumi had to learn to imagine winning, and he had to be greedier. His fight versus the Finger Bearer gave us an impression of his power and his potential, as he literally is taking his technique to the next level with domain expansion, albeit incomplete. So in that case, he was starting to break past his own boundaries and express his sense of self. Against the Reggie Star in the Culling games, he improved even further, and also Megumi started killing, which highlighted his resolve to not let anything stand in his way. But it's also made clear that a single weapon in his arsenal gives Megumi the confidence to sacrifice himself in battle. It's Mahoraga. Yet that does not mean that he can become stronger than Gojo. If Megumi kept thinking that this ace up his sleeve was the answer, then he still won't get stronger. So it's interesting that one of Megumi's last big moves was still trying to summon Mahoraga and sacrifice himself. But that act of desperation shows that he did not care about getting stronger in that moment. He didn't care about his future or his identity, yet he just needed things to work out after his death. However, things managed to turn out even worse. Megumi was too naive in his effort to save his sister Sumiki, so Sukuna took advantage of that hope that he had to protect Sumiki, and he crushed it. Sukuna planned to subjugate Megumi this way, because Megumi isn't quite like Yuji. They both have potential as strong vessels, however Yuji Itadori possesses an invincible soul. Sukuna would never overtake Yuji's soul like other incarnates could. Yet, he was able to break through Megumi's soul, thus leading to where we are now. Ultimately, Megumi needs to change or he is going to die. Even worse is if he drags everyone down with him. Sukuna plans on killing everyone and throwing the world into chaos by enacting the merger with Tengen, since he can do that with Megumi's body under that jurisdiction. Sukuna's plan will probably end the entire series, and Megumi is a crucial part of that. Everything pivots around him, yet his soul stays defeated. If they cannot save Megumi, Yuji and the sorcerers just have to kill him. And I actually think that sets up an interesting development in the narrative. The alternative is Yuji being the one to save Megumi and encourage his friend that he still has a purpose. Yuji can entrust Megumi with something only he can do. And right now, Megumi has to stand up against Sukuna's soul, or else all of his classmates and allies will perish. This cannot be it for Megumi Fushiguro. If he gives up here, he really will prove himself as a wasted treasure. He was raised by the strongest Gojo. He is the son of Toji and blessed with a treasured curse technique and talent. Megumi really does have potential, but for this story there is a point to Megumi's suffering and shortcomings despite his blessed talents. I feel Megumi was set up this way as one of the final major roadblocks in Jujutsu Kaisen, not as an antagonist or anything, but the dilemma within Megumi. Gege Akutami has an opportunity to create a very thematic conclusion to Megumi's character. Because if we are being realistic, things may not work out for Megumi's survival. In fact, worrying about Megumi is actually a burden when you're fighting the King of Curses, Sukuna. So his chances of survival are not good at all. Yuji just might be the only one left out of Gojo in the first years to survive. Yet it's still important that Megumi's mindset evolves. He needs to find a reason to live, and that's the only way for him to get stronger, and the only possible way that he can fight back. Yuji might actually be able to get through to him and cause Megumi to take control of his life and come back into the story, and that is the desired outcome, but Gege never has it that easy. It's more likely that Megumi will redeem his character with newfound resolve, and things could work out with him dying along with Sukuna. In effect, Megumi himself will play a major factor in Sukuna's defeat and Sukuna's execution. However, that's at the cost of his own life. The state Megumi is in right now is also similar to Yuji's breakdown in Shibuya. In that situation, Aoi Todo was able to find the right words to encourage his brother Yuji, and in a sense, bring him back to life. You might think Megumi needs Yuji to be his Todo right now, however their situation is a little different. Megumi isn't like Yuji. You can't really even quantify how much they both suffer, but the fact is that Megumi's soul is just weaker. So I hope in the future that there comes a point when Megumi stands his own ground and realizes his own sense of self-worth, not held back by the death of his sister. It's funny how many people speculate Megumi coming back as an antagonist who just doesn't care anymore. However, that in itself is uncharacteristic of Megumi to wish destruction on everyone around him because of his suffering. Even though Yuji's very existence and his drive is a cause for Megumi's misfortune, that negativity really should be focused on Sukuna. Sukuna is the one who caused all of Megumi's pain. Taking down Sukuna is going to be one of the greatest struggles that our main cast will have to face. And what makes it even harder is to be able to save Megumi as well. Megumi's character does have room to grow and improve, yet things ultimately will come down to him and what Megumi decides to do. At this point, he is one of the most pivotal, most crucial and important characters in this arc, and important in the overarching story. Megumi is like a deuteragonist, yet his showcase in the series leaves so much more to be desired, but it's up to Gege if Megumi will grow from his suffering or if he will remain a wasted treasure. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Megumi's character and his position in the series, and if you still have hope in his eventual return. If you like this type of content, remember to like and sub for more, but I will see you awesome brothers and sisters in the next one. Bye-bye.